Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. Super excited to have my friend Steve Pugh is on the show with us. He is going to talk about the power of lead generation. We're going to hear his story. He's got a great testimony and a great story. And then later on in the show, we're going to bring a special guest on, Greg Wooley, and we'll share with you what's going on with Greg. Steve, it's been a long time coming. Thank you so much for being here. How are you, my friend?
Absolutely, sir. Blessed and thankful that you reached out. And yes, you're right. It has been a little while coming. And I'm thankful you didn't butcher my last name, because I hear all kinds of variations.
I can't even imagine. How else would you? Pugga?
Oh, I got that one too, Ted. Yes, sir. No, it doesn't bother me, but I appreciate you nailed it. So it's like a church pew, right?
That's right. Just like a church pew. All right. So I told you before we went live, before we dig into the power of lead gen, which I think is on everyone's mind, building a database, learning how to utilize your database, really the power there. Let's learn a little bit about you. So a little 411 on Steve Pugh.
I'm on the hot seat, huh? All right. So I don't know. Some of you may know. So I've been in the business, probably 25, 26 years now. Total, got licensed, had a few, I don't want to say menial jobs, but had a few jobs prior to finding real estate, if you will, right after high school. Found real estate at 19 years of age. My dad, of all people, was the one that suggested I get off my ass and do something meaningful. So found real estate at 19 and been in it ever since.
Why real estate, though? When you said you found it, your dad suggested it, was because you had a gift for talking to people? Was it the generational wealth? What was it?
Some people will beg to differ on that gift there, Ted, but hey. I think, we have a real estate background, right? So my dad, back in England, my dad was a spec builder. Nothing major, but he'd build a house, we'd live in it. We were constantly moving. We probably moved 12 times as a child. So he'd build one, we'd live in it, then he'd build another one. And when that one was completed, we'd move to that one. So real estate was kind of in the blood. He just suggested it. I took my license. I flunked the class exam my first time. Don't tell anybody.
A lot of people did. Don't feel bad.
Right. And then nailed the state exam first time, and then stayed. I worked at a small independent brokerage. I found a boutique brokerage down in Winter Park off of Aloma and Goldenrod, not the real Winter Park, the humble Winter Park, if you will. So found a small boutique brokerage there, a small environment, great broker, very hands-on. I was there for about 5 years. And then, I kind of thought I was Jack the Lad at that point, as one does, and decided that in my infinite wisdom, I was going to open my own brokerage. So I went ahead and did that. That was back in 2003, and then ran my own show for a while. A lot of people lost everything during the recession. I wasn't the only one. Went broke, and just like everybody else, you claw your way back, you live and you learn. It was a blessing in disguise. There's a lot of hidden lessons in there, and thankful and blessed to be where we're at. I mean, still a lot of growth, a lot of learning left. When you think you're done, right?
That's correct.
So, but thankful to be where I'm at. Yeah.
So let's talk about, obviously you've had successes and then ups and downs, just like we all have in the real estate world, or really in any business. Talk about the lead gen, because this is on everybody's mind. Like everybody, they want to know about lead gen. They want to know how to build a database. They want to know what to do with their database. There's this database marketing company and this one and that one, and it's very overwhelming. And then I think people get analysis paralysis and really don't even know how to do it. So let's take a deep dive.
Gotcha. So at the end of the day, there is no shiny object, right? I had, like the same as everybody else, I had shiny object syndrome for a while. You're always, they gave me this, Ted. This is what my people gave me. That gives you some idea. Okay. So, because I was here, there, and everywhere.
I love that.
Yeah. So that gives you an idea. But in all honesty, there isn't. The best way to produce and make this business work is to build that database, build it daily, do the menial activities, even though it's boring and it's day to day and it's gonna be boring. All you have to do is commit 2.5 to 3 hours of diligent, focused work a day, which I think we can all do. Every day is not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be days that maybe you don't hit that time frame. When you're lead genning, I tend to tell people it comes in thirds. A third of it's going to suck, a third of it's going to be great, and a third of it's going to be okay. And as long as you can come to understand that fact and get in that space each and every day, your business is going to be fine. But it's consistency. It's time on task over time. If you do it a day and then you don't do it for 3 days and then you do it again, you lose momentum. It's almost better that you do it daily, no matter how bad it seems, just so that you keep that momentum flowing. And then when you get the results, then it becomes easier and you can justify it in your mind as to why you're doing it. Like before I got on with you, I circle prospected. So we're big into circle prospecting, expireds, SOI, and database. So I circle prospected and picked up. Doesn't happen all the time. Doesn't happen every day. You may go for a 2.5, 3 hour session and get big fat 0. But the difference is doing it again the next day. Okay? And then you build this database. So with circle prospecting per se, 3 goals out of a conversation is to strengthen a relationship, get a referral, get an appointment. You very seldom are going to get an appointment on circle prospecting. Sometimes I've gotten referrals. I got one last week. A guy, got him on the phone. Oh, we just listed a property on XYZ street. We know that when one property lists, one or more may come up right away. Who do you know that's looking to move into the neighborhood or making a move or wants to make a move right now? I said that all in one breath. But he ended up finding out that he had a property in the Poconos and he needed an agent up there that turned into a referral. So it's just making the calls. It's the activity and not overthinking it and understanding that, yes, you're going to get hung up on. Yes, you're going to get told to take a walk. But it's just building that muscle, man. And if you can put yourself in those positions daily, that muscle builds and then it becomes easier. And ideally, you want to try, and it's not easy, but you want to try to get to the point where if you don't do it, your day doesn't feel complete. Like if you don't, like with me, and I'm not in the greatest shape, there's people in a lot better shape than I am, but if I don't go to the gym, I feel it, right? Like my head doesn't feel right. So that's the same with my lead gen. And not every day is perfect, but if I don't do it, so I just don't feel right. Like there's something missing. But you get to that point where you do it. It's just time on task over time.
Let me ask you. Talk about the challenge, the psychology. Why do people hesitate and hate making calls? Why do people and give them maybe a tool or two that they can use to overcome that?
So we've kicked this around a bit, right? You've got to find 2 to 3 lead generation pillars that work for you. Some people just don't want to make the calls and they're deathly afraid of it. That's fine. If not, you need to, in your schedule, your daily schedule, you need to replace that with some other form of lead generation. If you're better in person, build your lead generation around either door knocking or open houses. But it's the same with everything. They've got to be done consistently. There was a gentleman in our group that did open houses from 8 to 10 a.m. and then from 4 to 6 p.m. People going to work, coming from work 5 days a week, did $10 million worth of business, wow. Just out of that. So, you know what I mean? I don't want to force everybody down that cold calling road just because I do it. But if there are people that are interested in pursuing that, gosh, Ted, what would be one thing? I mean, obviously that they have the fear of rejection. Sometimes I'll still have
because we're salespeople. What is the fear of rejection? I'm fascinated by the psychology of it because I think more people would be successful if they did what you just said. The consistency to me, no matter how many times you get beat in the head, you've got to get back up and continue to do it. But people don't even start. And I think that's part of the problem is that they don't start on the lead gen. They don't, or they've been told it's this formula or that formula. Obviously, you've developed your own for yourself and your team over time, correct?
Right. But it happens by doing it, right? It's like leadership. It's like getting better at leadership. 9 times out of 10, you can read all the books you want, but a lot of times it's just putting into practice and doing it. You've probably heard it all a bunch of times on the show, people telling you the same thing about consistency. And in all honesty, that's what it is. It's just getting into action, making those first couple of calls or touches, and then that'll lead to momentum. I guess going back to that, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. It's fear of rejection. It's ego. We're worried about how we're going to feel if somebody rejects us. I mean, I just tell myself, Ted, at the end of the day, life's too short. And if somebody reacts that way to me on the other end of the phone, that there's something going on within their own personal life, and I'm not going to take it personally, right? And you just hope that everything's going okay with them. If they're one of the people that say, screw you, don't call me, I don't want to talk to you. Obviously, there's something there, right? And that's what I tell myself. It's nothing to do with me. God help them, God bless them, whatever they're going through, and I move on. Never end off your lead gen session on a call like that. You want to make that one more call. So
got to keep going. Got to keep plugging through. What makes being at your brokerage different from your perspective?
Oh boy.
I mean, I saw the squirrel gift they gave you, but I love that. But I think you have a unique personality. You have you're kind and driven, and a lot of times those two things don't go well together. But you seem to have mastered that. So, what can people expect if they're working in your brokerage, or if they're working with one of the agents in your brokerage?
Golly, Ted, I appreciate that. Huh? I feel good about myself. So, I mean, I am kind. I mean, obviously, I'm hard on myself, and I wouldn't expect from others what I don't expect from myself. I'll get in the trenches with you. I don't have a problem with that. I think what has opened my eyes in the last probably 5 years, probably in the last 2.5 to 3, is just having that growth mindset, right? And being around people that want to consistently learn, understand that they don't know it all, are humble enough to say that they want to learn more, and are teachable and are coachable. And money is important. And I hope I'm not conning myself when I say this. Money's definitely important, but for me now, more of the journey is about being the best that I can be, so I can show up for other people that I'm in business with, or that are important to me in my life. So, you feel like you're letting those people down. That's another thing too you need to think about, right? Like, if you really want to get brutally honest with yourself, how would you feel if you had to go home and say, tell your son or daughter, hey, daddy didn't do his job today. Daddy didn't do what he was supposed to do. He didn't make his calls.
Right.
That's a tough one to swallow, man.
But you set yourself, like, that that's you. And I love that you have that expectation of yourself, and that you're willing to get into the trenches with other people, because I think a lot of times one of the reasons why I feel like we're having this mass movement in the market, in the real estate market, from agency to agency, is because people aren't feeling that their brokers are getting into the trenches with them, their team leaders. And so they're hungry for that. So they may think they've got a sweet deal at XYZ commission level, but in reality, they're looking for so much more. And I think leaders overlook that, and they minimize how important that is to people. So let's talk about the real estate market really quick, and then then we'll bring Greg on. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing now? How are you feeling? I like to ask anybody who's in it, because everybody's got a different answer. Are you chicken little, the sky's falling, it's really bad? Are you seeing opportunity? Do you think that the year is going to continue in the way it is? What's your perspective?
Nobody has a crystal ball, right? I think that, you know what I mean? If you do the work, you're going to be fine. Everybody's talking about it, the thinning of the herd. People that have been in the business don't know what this down market is going to look like, feel like. They'll be out of the business first. If you're around the right people and you're doing the right activities, an environment will produce productivity, right? I'm big on accountability, and I'm big on being in the right environment and just showing up, All you have to do is show up for yourself. That's probably 80% of it, is just showing up. And when I mean that, when I say that, people probably get confused, but just, being in the office and showing up and being here on time and being around other producers, hearing them on the phone, being in the environment, and that will invoke productivity. That's probably the biggest advice. However uncomfortable it feels to go into an office where maybe you're not real close with people yet, or it's outside your comfort zone, you'd rather just sit at home and work from home. No, put yourself in these positions and you're going to be just fine. But you've got to commit.
You do. So, and how about the market itself?
The market. See, I went that way, Ted. You got to watch me.
I let you go as far as you could. That's good. Good.
Okay, so market. I think as long as you do the work and you are well versed in your presentation skills and presenting price, I think that things are going to be fine. I think we're going to end up probably 3 to 5% appreciation this year. We are seeing some dips. Obviously, I'm sure you're aware, we're seeing it tick back up. If properties are priced right, I'm presenting properly and marketed correctly. We're still getting multiple offers. So I think we're going to be fine. Just get yourself in the right environment, around the right people. Do the work and do it consistently. Try to quiet the noise. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to spend your time talking about the market. You want to take it, right? Correct. So try to quiet the noise and just do the work and keep your head down. And before you know it, things will be fine. And just concentrate on your database. We had a young lady that started with us, and I can't be everywhere. She's only been here about 2 weeks, and she was struggling a little bit. And she came in, and I was grateful that she did, right? Because you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. There's only so much I can do. And she came in, and I sat here with her for about an hour, and we got her phone out, which she hadn't done. And we started calling through the contacts in her phone. And then calls started, just in that short hour, people started calling her back. She started getting excitement. There was one lady that had a friend that may be looking. So we're all looking for these magic answers. And a lot of times it's in front of us. It's just being uncomfortable and making those calls to people maybe that you haven't spoke to in 5. Who cares? What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
That's right. I agree. All right. So let's bring Greg on. You ready?
Greg. Yes. Let's get.
I got him here. He's still here.
You got him? He's ready. On it.
I'm still here watching this show.
What's up, Greg?
That was an awesome talk. I'm so glad to be here with you guys.
I'm happy you're here. Tell the audience a little bit about you.
So I'm part of St. Cloud Proud with we're out to make St. Cloud proud. I'm a roofing contractor here in St. Cloud, and I've known Steve for, I don't know, a long time. It seems like forever. And I'm a person in long-term recovery, and that brings me to what I would like to share with you today is I've had the opportunity that I haven't drank in 32 years, but drugs and alcohol made my life quite the train wreck as a young person. And I worked with guys getting out of prison for about 10 years, and I've always tried to give back in some form or fashion. And I was always like, why isn't there a way for younger people? Why isn't there something for younger people when you get in trouble the first time that isn't punitive, that's supportive and sends them, leads them to a path of recovery? Why isn't there something? And I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting 3 years ago, and I met a young lady who said, I'm here to promote my husband's scuba diving business, but I really have a heart for recovery, and I'd like to bring a recovery high school into Central Florida. And we then formed the nonprofit, and we hitched horses, and we've been trying to make this thing a little work, chug along. And we because of lack of funding and because of COVID and everything going virtual anyhow, we decided to launch virtually. And we had our first graduate already now that we helped graduate. And we're up to 15 students right now at present virtually. So I couldn't be happier with that. And we don't have any state funding yet. We have a measure in the Senate that's going over to the House, or I don't know which way it is, called an appropriation for some funding. But we've been all donation based for the past year and a half since we launched, and just trying to figure it out. But recovery high schools aren't anything new, but but they've been around for about.
To me, I mean,
Right, I've been sober for 32 years, and I had never heard of them before 3 years ago. Generation Found is a great introduction to what a recovery. It's a movie that you can watch the blurbs on YouTube, and it's I'm not sure if it's on Netflix still, but it was on Netflix, the full movie. But it presents what a recovery high school looks like. You know, generally it's peer led, peer. You know, everything peer. I'm more of a peer than go to a professional and talk. I'd rather have somebody that's been there, done that, and overcome that, and kind of partner with me and that's kind of how most recovery works, has been there, done that, and you know, I've overcome it, so I can lead you to the help and healing that you desire. And that's
I don't want to interject, Greg. I mean, people that know me, Ted, know I had my struggles years ago, and at least for me, that's why I'm passionate about this. It could have made a difference. You know what I mean? Because I put a lot of my family members, my mother, just through hell. So,
you know, and the darker side. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ted.
No, I was just going to say, you have everybody's got their personal journey that they have to go through, and then you guys have an event coming up, and that's why. So that's sort of you all that are following. That's how Greg's kind of
a surprise guest.
I love a surprise guest. It's good. It's really good.
We need support. That's why, please. And Ted was gracious enough. So
anytime I can. I don't know if you know, but I have a master's degree in health services administration with a nonprofit background, including alcohol, drug abuse, and mental health. So I'm very familiar. That's why I'm very active and still have activity in organizations in town. So I have a heart for what you're doing. So talk about the event. When is it? What are we doing? How can we support?
Go ahead, Steve. Can you remember the date yet?
May Day 5K, May Day 5K, May 6th, the day
May 6th. You usually can't remember the day.
So don't drink too much on Cinco de Mayo, but it's the day after, May 6th, 7:30 a.m. Race starts at 8:30. 8:30. I stand corrected. Thank you, sir. And it's in St. Cloud. It's a Galt's Landing. Forest Food Abundance, a gentleman by the name of Jim Gale, has kind of put together a self-sustaining community, if you will. And at this juncture, I'll let Greg finish it up.
So if you're familiar with St. Cloud, it's at the end of Old Melbourne Highway. It dead ends to where Mercury Marine's old test lake used to be, is on the left-hand side. And Jim Gale bought a bunch of acres on the right-hand side to put out a off-grid permaculture community. It's a beautiful property. It's a food forest, and he is developing a Freedom Farm Education Academy, and so to help people learn more about food forests in their backyard. So that's what his big deal is that he wants everybody to be growing healthier food, and it's going to be a great event, and I couldn't be more happier with the property out there, because he has container homes. I mean, they're beautiful little container homes set up as an Airbnb and an education center there, and a whole lot of plants that I don't even know what all the plants are, where you can walk around, see all the plants, and it's kind of like it'll be a beautiful place for it all to happen at.
I think too, real quick, Ted, I know we're on time, but I think some people get intimidated by 5K. It doesn't matter. You can crawl it. I don't care if you hop it. Just show up. We need the support, and it will be appreciated. Because
I have the rhyming, because I write poetry almost every day of my life now. But you can walk, you can run, or just come and have a little fun. So
there you go.
I love it. Also, so how can they get or how can they register?
We either go to Florida Recovery Schools of CentralFlorida.org, or I'll send you the Give Lively link. Would be easier.
I'll do that. I'll post that link, y'all, in the comments below. So, awesome. But you can obviously reach out to me, reach out to Steve. We'll make sure Greg is tagged as well. You can find it one way or another, but we'd love for you guys to get out. What a great day that's going to be. A 5K. You don't have to run it, so no excuses. You can walk it if you want.
When we're having Marla from Drums and Recovery is going to be out and finishing up with Drums and Recovery, and my friend Linda is doing a meditation, Lectio Divina meditation, which is a different kind of meditation too. So that'll, and we'll have shade and fans for all that too. So it'll be good.
Ted, thank you. Just 2 hours on someone's Saturday morning. We'd love the support. That's
right.
So thank you.
And if you can't make it, I'll say it. We'd still like you to donate and give back. So reach out to Steve and reach out to
and
Greg.
if you ever know anybody, any parents that are struggling with teens that need a place to have a respite and get on the road to recovery, we'd love to be part of that journey.
I love it. All right, gentlemen, what a pleasure. What an honor to have you guys on. Steve Pugh, Greg Wooley. You guys check out what's scrolling across the bottom there and also in your comments section below. Get out and support these guys and support everybody in the community that is struggling with this, dealing with this, and is trying to give back to that community and get them healthy and well. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Hey,